Well, my name is Keith Stevens. Been in the screen printing industry for 34 years. Did limited edition fine arts, and I did some lithographs and school newspapers and all that. Been doing this since I was 14, cleaning screens. Now I travel the Western United States and supporting people like Ryonet and the sales of our product, and teaching fine folks like you. This is Nick Wood.
Been in the industry for about 4 years now. Started out one color, one station press, moved all the way up. Really invested a lot of time in learning the inks, additives, vendors, setting up good relationships, and really retaining as much of this information as possible. So my goal is to pass all that on to everybody else now.
So what we're going to do here today is discuss additives for plastisols and how to take a regular ink and turn it into some added value. And what we're going to start off with is a puff additive. And what we've done here is we've got a two-color design. We have this fluorescent green, a regular screen. It's a 230 mesh. And then over here we have the black screen, which we've added a puff additive at 15%. And it's a little bit more open mesh, an 86, with a little bit more stencil. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, was stencil thickness. Every screen that you'll see us using here today has at least a thicker stencil where you could feel the bump on the back of the screen, on the substrate side. Typically, we're going to talk about, let's say if the thread diameter is somewhere around 25 to 35 microns, we want to have at least like 50 microns. That way there's like 20 microns or 30 microns extra above that you could feel on the bottom of the screen. And then we're going to actually go into some even coarser meshes where we probably are around 100 microns. When we coated the screen, we coated it additional passes with the emulsion, and the stencils are thicker.
We're going to be, sorry about that, we're going to be using a term called EOM, which means emulsion over mesh. So if you think about it, you have your mesh, it lays flat, obviously. We've coated these screens so thick, so there's a real dense coating of emulsion past the mesh count itself, which is often referred to as a gasket. And that is definitely essential when you're doing the specialty effects stuff. You'll see it used a lot in halftone work as well. You just want to have that thickness of the emulsion there.
Okay. So again, we just have a fluorescent green. And by the way, fluorescent colors by nature are transparent because of the pigment used. It's a little plastic transparent pigment. So if you really want an opacity, you need to underbase it with a white on a dark shirt. But here we're just using a white Pellon, and I'm going to go ahead and print the fluorescent green. We have a little bit of black puff. We're going to run that. This is just a register. Now we're going to do a shirt. And because, like I said, the fluorescence is transparent, it's going to look a lot better on this white shirt. Do a little flash here to seal that up. Yeah.
Yep, right there.
One of the things I want to make sure when you come away from this seminar today is the thicker the deposit of ink, the longer time is your best friend in the dryer. Not bumping up the temperature, but longer time, just like a cookie and a cake. Cake takes longer time, same temperature as a cookie. Cookie's 10 minutes, the cake's 35 minutes. Thicker the deposit. The whole ink film from the top to the bottom needs to be cured. If the inside is not cured, the middle section, it will crack.
Slow it down, turn down the temperature on the dryer, slow it down, so there's retention of that heat.
I'm really trying to pass a little bit extra ink on this sucker, and it'll come off better when it dries. It'll puff additionally. Okay, we're going to run that through this dryer. Beach front dryer. And if you wanted to have more puff, you could flash the black, print it again, or you can go to a lower mesh and add more thickness of emulsion, and you'll get a bigger deposit, and it'll puff more.
So when you do your stencil on the back, you make it thicker.
Yep.
You just let it dry, then recoat it.
Exactly, yeah. So you let the screen dry, screen mesh facing towards the ground, so textile.
What does that do to your time exposure?
It increases the exposure time
By
because you
double?
have more. It depends on your exposure unit. You know, it's one of those questions. It's, you know, what are you burning with? But usually you add on, like for instance with our unit, you'd add on maybe 30 light units per coating of emulsion. So good question, very poignant.
So it's just a slightly little puffed image. It's not that much. I could again add a lower mesh count, thicker deposit, softer squeegee. All those things will add. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay.
Should we cover? Let's cover mixing.
Okay, so when we were mixing this, you take any color that you choose, and one of the things I want to add is that when it inflates, it's like a balloon. The balloon is dark blue before you inflate it, and when it stretches out, it becomes a lighter blue. Same thing will happen with your colors. So when you add the puff additive. So the thing you need to do is try to choose a color that's a little darker than what you're really expecting. Okay, so when it inflates, it lightens up to the color you want. Okay, so a darker red to get a nice red, darker blue to get a medium blue.
The reason we use black today is because we knew we weren't going to get any color shift, any hue shift. So it's a good point, though. We'll lighten up.
So I'm going to just demonstrate how we mix this. Now, usually you can use a gram scale to be very accurate. This product is pretty forgiving, so it's not that big of a deal. But 15% of what this volume is here.
By adding additives in general, does it lengthen or shorten or the time of the ink?
Very good question. There are some additives that do shorten the lifespan of the ink. For instance, say you're using discharge. Once activated, you've got that 8 hours to use it. Catalysts, then you have a shelf life on the ink. But most of these additives don't mess around with the compound. So it's usually just discharge, catalyst. Is there any that I'm missing, Keith?
Like you said, the nylon catalyst is one. It definitely shortens the pot life.
We only use PVC.
Free? Okay.
No, the ink itself is.
Yeah, all this plastisol is.
Right.
Yeah. But if you want to...
Does the additives change if I went to another thing?
They're all using the similar products, but the reason why you need a catalyst is for like the nylon shell jackets. The ink's not able to get a mechanical bond into the fibers of that. So we add this catalyst that kind of gives a chemical bond and adheres it chemically instead of just mechanically. It can't wrap its fingers around the fibers of a shell jacket.
That includes nylon football jerseys.
Yeah.
Very similar to that. But that has, if there's holes in there, it can get in there and grab onto it. But if it's if it's very
slick, rain resistant, stuff like that, that's when you would absolutely, catalyst is necessary.
So we just wanted to demonstrate there what 15% could be. You don't have to go up to 15% if you don't want to. One of the things about puff is that it'll look shiny when it's undercured, and it'll look shiny if it's overcured. Okay, and when it's going through the dryer, it inflates, and when it starts getting overcured, it starts to deflate and get shiny. So you got to watch it. Each dryer is a little different. Okay.
Increasing puff, will that increase the thickness of the puff? Like if you did do 20%, you did 50% puff?
It starts to jeopardize the integrity of the ink film, and it will flake off.
What about this super puff that you see on some shirts? You know, it's
That's maybe mixed at 20, 30%.
But not only that, it's just a thicker deposit of it.
Oh,
you can print, flash print, and then you can use a capillary emulsion and get a really thick deposit, and it'll inflate like that.
Yeah, you really got to be careful because if you go overboard on the puff, it'll expand so much. It'd be like a marshmallow in the microwave, and exactly, you're going to have a muffin top, and it'll flake right off the garment. So you can overload it. This is one of those additives where you usually want to be. Again, Keith said it was pretty forgiving, but you don't want to go overboard on it. So now their bases, on the other hand, you can go wild. You could add 99% if you wanted to. Those are all curable. So.
One of the things also is sometimes when you do a solid letter of puff, it'll pucker the shirt and get all deformed. Sometimes it's best to do like an 85% dot, halftone, a coarse halftone dot. It kind of relieves the stress of it, and it lets it inflate and looks all puffy, but it doesn't pucker and distort the shirt. So it kind of relieves that tension. Okay.
Yep.
What's next?